Guys, what's going on? Joe's Neon here. Welcome to Shop Talk with Joe, part 3. Pretty excited about today's vid because I got some pretty cool stuff going on. I just want to start by saying, I told you guys I was going to put a different portrait of a Native American on the wall here for each vid, and turn that down just a hair. And this is Buck Hith, an Apache. Yeah, he's pretty serious, dude. Yeah, so anyhow, my birthday was absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys so much for all the happy birthdays and hanging there. And, you know, I'm sorry I didn't put down a video, but there's reasons for that. It was a hell of a good time. My buddy Skipper came down from Saranac Lake, and he gave me a very, very special gift for my birthday. He gave me an axe head. And this is a Collins Hudson Bay style. The Collins were the only one that had that groove in the bottom of them right there. But I did some research on it, and this head was made between 1904 and 1924. They made them for 20 years, I do believe, and I believe they were made in New York. It's legitimus is what they call them. And come to find out, they're one of the holy grails of axe heads. So I was really excited. We'll talk a little bit more about how it got looking like this. So yeah, just wanted to do a couple shout outs. NS Trapper Hunter, sorry, I had your site wrong. It's NS Trapper Hunter. Nice coyote, buddy. That was a great catch, and love to see the little guy with you there. I think he was more excited than you were, so that was fun. Mr. Sly Fox, for real, buddy, thank you for the shout out, and I can't believe you got 2 muskrats in one 110. I've never even heard of that happening. That was stellar. Absolutely fantastic, buddy. Roby1 Kenobi, great video, buddy, on instinctive shooting. If you guys haven't checked him out, Roby1 Kenobi. He does some great outdoor videos, does some great videos on shooting instinctively with a bow. Just really good quality stuff. I got a lot to cover here today, guys. I hope this doesn't go too long. I got a feeling it's going to be a long one, but let's just move right on with it. Crack open the old PBR. Let's go to question and answers. Ray, what's up, buddy? Wild Wilderness. He asked me, what was my favorite animal to trap and why? You guys might be surprised by this, but my favorite animal to trap was muskrat. And the reason why was my grandfather, well, both my grandfathers were muskrat trappers. One was a muskrat trapper out towards Verona and Utica, New York area. And my other grandfather was a muskrat trapper down in Long Island. And he actually trapped the swamps that were brackish swamps, part saltwater. And I learned a lot about trapping muskrat. And I trapped them, and I loved to trap them because we had a lot of them where we lived. They were big rats. Big, big muskrats. You know, I'm talking muskrats that, without the tail, from the head to the butt, you know, they're that big and they're that wide. You know, you're talking about a good-sized muskrat there. And we did really well with the muskrats. So I think that's why that was my favorite animal to trap. And I really enjoyed it. That's also going to be my trapping tip for today. Aircraft 1. AIRECRAFT 1. How do you make so many cool things at the young age of 20? Well, brother, last Sunday wasn't the young age of 20. I've always had a passion for creativity. I've always been that ever since I was a little kid. I can remember melting crayons on the back dashboard of my mom's 62 Impala and just making designs in the melted wax, and then I would be grounded for a month. But yeah, I've always been into carving, just anything creative I can get into, and I'm constantly finding a new passion, you know. I don't know if that question was a serious question or not, you know, but I just wanted to answer it for you. What else we got? Killer, Chris Killinger, Backwoods American. Did I do a vid on my double bit axe and wanted a better look at the sheath? Let's do that real quick. This is the double bit here. This is just a beautiful axe. This is a Sager chemical axe from 1936. Yes, I did do a video on it. Not just on this axe, but my whole collection. But I'll give you guys a little closer look at that bad boy. That was a real fun restoration job. I enjoyed that a lot. Got a great handle for it. But really quick, here's the sheath. It's 10 ounce shoulder hide, and it's welted, hand stitched, and I just make the patterns from the head. I think I'll do a video on that, show you how to make a pattern for your sheaths. But they're real. This is a heavy duty sheath. Like I said, I really enjoyed making it. It was a great project. It's the first double bit I've ever done. So, and that's all it does is slide up the handle, and then there's 2 snaps. That just, I mean, that, we talk about movement in Kydex sheaths. This doesn't move. It fits it perfect. Every one of my sheaths is custom made for the head that it's made for the axe that it's made for. So, I hope that helps you out, Chris. You got any more questions on a sheath, man, you give me a call, buddy. Let's see here. Where are we at? I want to do my trapping tip. Oh, no, wait, I can't. I got one more great question, and that question came from Gonzo. What's up, Heath? Why did you get out of the band, or why did it break up? Well, we got to a point where we were a 7-piece band, and pretty much all the sound equipment belonged to me, and I was pretty much the only guy that knew how to set it up and do a sound check. Without hiring somebody to do that, if you hire somebody, that's less money that the band is making. So it pretty much became my responsibility to make sure that all this equipment was loaded, it was on location, it was set up, sound check, done, ready to go, you know? And you do that long enough, you get real sick and tired of being a babysitter quick. You know, it was just way too much work on me. So what I decided to do was, I said, guys, I'm all done. And I decided to start doing a solo acoustic act. So that's what I did. I was known in the area here as Journey Joe the Lonesome Cowboy. And I would go over and play all the pubs and bars around and just do an acoustic, you know, guitar deal and sing in the corner, you know. And that worked out really good. I did that for about 7 years after Nectar, you know. But Heath, great question, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so trapping tip. Guys, if you're muskrat trappers, this is very, very, very simple. There's a lot of times when you can't necessarily set up a funnel in a stream, you know. Sometimes maybe it's a little bit too wide, or you know, there's not enough structure around to start to form your funnel, to put a 110 conibear and get them coming through. My grandfather taught me this trick, okay? You take a rock that you can set on the bottom of the stream that's big enough and stable enough to hold your leg hold trap. And I always use the #1 jump. And you set that trap, and that trap should be about 2 inches underneath the surface of the water. And then from the shore, you take a stick. You stick the stick in the bank and you arch it out over the stream so that that end of that stick is right over that rock. And about 10 to 12 inches above that rock, you put an apple slice on there, and you put anise on there. Oil of anise. It's used for baking. Muskrats go nuts over it, and I have also heard that beaver go nuts over it. Anise, it's a seasoning. I guess it's used a lot in baking. You can get it in the baking department in any grocery store, but yeah, there's your muskrat trapping tip. And what happens is those rats are swimming the stream. All they got to do is catch a whiff of that. And they want a way to get to that apple slice. And they know there's a rock there. All they want to do is step on top of that rock and get that apple. They could absolutely care less about your trap. I get them like that. I used to get them like that all the time. So anyhow, guys, what we're going to do today is we're going to hang an axe head. We're going to haft an axe, and this beautiful, beautiful axe head that Skipper had given to me, he soaked it in vinegar. I told him, you know, to soak it in vinegar. He soaked it in vinegar for probably about 3 days. When they come out, they're almost black. They're very dark, you know. So what I do after that step is I take PB Blaster, which is a corrosion remover for automotive and whatnot. You can also use WD-40. Soak it in it and let it sit for about 2 hours. And then down at the shop, I have a high-speed wire wheel. And what I do is I run this whole thing over a high-speed wire wheel. You know, a stiff wire wheel. And it has a lot of pitting, but it's pretty much taken any corrosion whatsoever off of it. You know, so that's how it'll come out if you just follow that process. It's a simple process. Anybody can do it. The thing that gets a little bit more tricky is picking the proper hickory handle. And I did the best I could, guys. I didn't get a great handle. The grain on the end is running pretty much the wrong way, but it gets about 1/3, and the grain actually twists and runs fairly straight. So in prepping the handle for the head is absolutely a process. The more time you put into it, the better it's going to come out. That's the bottom line. It's just that simple. When I fit this head to this handle, I put this head on and took it off this handle and did more shaping, put it on, take it off, more shaping, put it on. 64 times I counted them to haft this. Now, I've already done all that work, so you guys aren't going to sit there bored out of your ass. But yeah, and it took me 1 hour and 20 minutes. Now, I'm getting pretty good at it, you know, and I do it all by hand with rasps and files. And, you know, it's really important to get the correct fit. If you guys want to see some other videos on hafting an axe, there's some great ones out there. Skognive, Skognive, I believe. Skognive. Go check out his hafting. It's also called hafting, hanging or hafting an axe. Go check out his videos. Phenomenal. He is the master of the haft. He's really good. Another one is Wrangler Star. Wrangler Star's got a couple of really good videos about hanging axes and sharpening axes. The other one is Greg, Busy Can Do. Great series he did on hafting an axe. And he's got some really great tips, really great ideas. So go check that out. But what I want to say, guys, is you really want to spend the time to fit that head. Okay, you just watch me slide that on there. And that's pretty much what you want, because you don't want that notch to close up because it fits so tight and you got to pound it on. Now, this hasn't been seated. I'll show you how I do that, okay? But first, what I want to let you know is I've already got a couple of coats of boiled linseed oil up here. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a change right here in color. I want to protect that wood that's inside that head. So a good way to start is to get a couple of really good coats of boiled linseed oil on the handle here, and at the head, in the haft, and let that soak in before you go ahead and haft your head. Okay, that's really important. It gives you, the linseed oil is going to give you durability out of your wood. It's going to give it flexibility. It's going to condition it. It's not going to want to break. It's not going to want to split. It's going to be tough, but that's why it's important to always stay up on your linseed oil on your wooden handles. And that goes for your garden equipment too. Take those things and sand them down if they've never been linseed oiled. Linseed oil the hell out of them. Winter's a good time to do that. All your wooden handle garden tools. Boy, you'll be so happy with what you're working with in the spring. It'll make your head spin. But this one is all set to go here. I had to do a lot of wood removal. You also want to make sure the depth of your groove for when you're going to drive your wedge. You don't want it to go all the way down. You want it to go just a little bit more than 2/3 of the way down, okay? The other thing that's really important is the wedge. Now, they give you a poplar wedge usually, and you want to make sure with your wedge that your wedge is not wider than your head, that it's going to fit in there. And you also want to make sure that you're not going to bottom out in the bottom of your notch when it's driven all the way in. You don't want to bottom that out. You want it to be just almost all the way down. But if you bottom out, then the wedge might not be at its fullest, it won't be at its fullest potential, is what I'm trying to say. So anyhow, let's get moving on this. Again, I got the boiled linseed oil on here. And we're going to go ahead and prep the wedge, okay? So, one thing I would suggest is a really good wood glue for this. I'm going to move you guys down here on the bench. So, excuse me, buddy. Whoa. Really good wood glue. I got to shake this up, guys. There we go. Get that back in action. This is a Type-On glue, and it's waterproof. So what I like to do is I like to rub that all around the side of the wedge. Then I like to go to the other side. Put more on the other side. Use a good wood glue. That's a pretty important thing to do. Okay, get that whole wedge just all nice and coated, ready to go. My rag here, wipe my fingers off. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wedge. I'm just going to set it there for right now. Very important, guys. I didn't strap my head yet, but don't be stupid. Now, I reprofiled the whole head. I had some problems on the pole. The pole was a little flanged out, so I reground that and reprofiled the edge. I had a couple of small chips, no big deal. That came out great, but I've learned the hard way that it's a lot easier to tape your edges before you get started, because you will eventually cut yourself. Okay, so I got that all set. Now, what we're going to do, see, I've got this piece of red oak, little block of red oak that I've cut, and that's very important for this part of the process, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to move you one more time here. It's right over here. Now, I've got my head, and I got my handle. Now, like I said, I've already taken the time to make sure this thing fits sweet. I'll slide it in there. Okay, and I'll take this hard rubber mallet and I'll give it some shots here. Now what that did was that really seated that head on there. And I think that's a little off, and I don't like it. So we're going to seat it down one more time. Let's give it a little touch up there. I like that a lot. Okay? You really want to make sure that your head is not high on one end or low in the front, you know. That's very important. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our wedge and we're going to set it right in our groove. Okay? And now I'm going to use a steel hammer. And I'm just going to get that started. Just get her working in there, just so she's lining up perfect. And I'm liking that. Now you want to do this very gently because you don't want to really split the wedge. It's not a big dilemma if you do split the wedge, but you'd rather drive that thing in as one whole piece, you know, just for the stability purposes. Now what I'll do is I'll take the axe handle and I'll set it right down on the concrete floor. Okay, I hope you guys can see that, all right? And I'll take that oak block that I got and I'll put it right on top of that wedge. Okay? Now I'll start driving the wedge. And what's neat about this is that wedge will just keep going in, keep going in, keep going in. And then all of a sudden the sound will completely change. And then you'll know that you've got that wedge set. And I'm getting there, but she's bouncing a little. I'm going to take a chance and just go with the steel hammer a little bit here. Just take your time. This is the most important step. Is driving this wedge. Okay. Okay, I did have a split in it. It's no big deal. Everything stayed tight, but you see that? The way that wood is just rolled right up on both sides, and the way that the top of the handle is just flared right out. That head is going absolutely nowhere. Now I'm going to let it set like this overnight, and tomorrow I'll take it to the shop and I'll trim it off here about, I'd say about 1/8 of an inch or less. But this is ready for boiled linseed oil. That's something else I want to talk to you guys about. When you're using boiled linseed oil on raw wood, now again, I had to strip this. This had finish on it, and that's a real drag. You want to get that finish off, and it takes quite a bit of sanding, but get that finish off. That's really important. I'm just looking at this head. I got to give it one more shot on the bottom here. Let's see how she's seated. Oh, she ain't going nowhere. But, yeah, get that finish off because you really want it to absorb that boiled linseed oil. And when you're absorbing boiled linseed oil, I'm using half paint thinner, half boiled linseed oil, 50-50. I mix them together. And looks like something that Ray would drink. Looks like bourbon, don't it? Whiskey. But what it does is you're thinning the linseed oil out so that it's really accepted in the wood. It really goes deep in the wood. And I'll be stopping down tonight all night to put a coat on. Probably about every hour. And what it'll do is it'll carry right into the center almost of the handle. Now, that makes it so it doesn't want to dry out. You don't want wood to dry out. That's when wood becomes fragile. That's when wood wants to break. Just like your hands, you know. You put hand cream on them and they don't crack. You let them go dry, huh. I hope your guys' hands don't crack like mine. And I think I got that from fur trapping, to be honest with you guys. My hands always in the water and the ice cold. Yeah, I got bad problems with dry skin. Sorry about that. Just keeping that bowl of linseed oil on there. So here's what's going to happen. Like I said, I'm going to take this to the shop tomorrow. I'm going to trim that off. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting the final edge on it, and I'm going to build the sheath. But I've already got the pattern made for my sheath. And what I do is I take a manila folder and I trace the head onto it. You can see how that fits, just like that. And it'll fold right over, just like this, okay? And I'll be cutting that again out of 10-ounce leather, okay? So you trace it out like this, and then the first thing you do is you trace out the whole piece. Then you cut this piece out, and then you have your welt, okay? And that's what keeps your edge from either cutting into the lacing or cutting into the rivets or whatever you're using, you know? So it's easy. This you do first, trace it onto your material, cut out your welt, trace it onto your material, then you'll cut your strap. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish the edge on this. I'm going to finish the conditioning with the boiled linseed oil. Oh boy, this is just coming sweet. I'm really excited about this one, guys. So yeah, and then I'll build the sheath for it, and I'll have that ready for next week's vid, part 4, okay? So I hope you guys got something out of that. You know, if I gotta stress anything, take your time. Take that head on and off, on and off, on and off. Take a little wood away, on and off, because that's gonna, when you use that axe and you hung it perfect, you're gonna enjoy it more, believe me. So again, we're to the part of the video where I'm going to tell you guys a joke. And it's a good one. It goes like this. It's in the theme of these. Which I wear every day. All this guy ever wanted was a brand new pair of cowboy boots. So a Sunday afternoon rolls around. He says, you know what? I'm going down local Western store. I'm going to buy myself a brand new pair of cowboy boots. So he walks out in the living room. Honey's sitting there on the couch, and she's in her moo-moo. She could care less, you know. Honey, I'm going out for a while. I'll be back. She don't even answer him. Out the door he goes down to the Western store, buys himself a brand new pair of cowboy boots. And he's just as proud as a peacock. And he comes home. And he runs in the bedroom, and he puts on his brand new cowboy boots, and he goes out in the living room, and he stands right in front of Honey, and he says, Honey, what do you notice different about me? She says, leave me alone. I'm watching my show. I don't notice anything different about you. She says, no, honey, look a little closer. What do you notice different about me? She says, I don't notice anything different about you. Leave me alone. I'm watching my show. So he goes in the bedroom, and he takes all his clothes off, and he puts his cowboy boots back on, and he goes out in the living room, and he stands in front of her, and he says, Honey, now what do you notice different about me? And she turns, and she looks at him, and she says, you know what? She says, it was hanging down yesterday, and it's hanging down today, and it'll be hanging down tomorrow. And he says, well, that's because it's looking at my brand new cowboy boots. She turns and she looks at him and she says, oh yeah? You should have bought a hat. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Leave me a comment. Don't forget to give me a question. And I'll see you guys in a couple days when I finish up this sweet axe. Hope everybody's good. Talk to you soon.